So let me tell you a story about fish car, which I'm dealing with at the moment. So Christy bought some fish and then left it, raw fish, in the car and took Finn to a play center with his friends. And now the car just smells of fish. And every time we get in the car now, I can't help just making jokes about it. And it's really testing her. She can't handle the jokes. And then she's requested to have fish and chips tonight. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
So she's just doubling down now at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly it. She doubled down. She was like, "Oh, fuck it!" Like, I'm just gonna lean into this. Actually, now I want fish. Yeah, she had to throw it out, by the way, because it was in the car for too long. So the kicker is that we didn't even eat the fish. She just put it in the car and made it smell bad.
Does it still smell?
Yeah. I had the windows down quite a bit on the way here. I was like, "Ooh, I'll take advantage of the freeway and try to get rid of some of that fish smell."
That freeway that is so fast flowing and smooth all the way to my house at 20 kilometers an hour.
And I feel like I got rid of the fish smell, but I might have just grown accustomed to it over the time. So I'll find out when I go back to the car later. You know,
you need one of us to hop in your car and let you know.
Yeah, I was worried that it would have transferred onto me. So if I smell like fish, I mean, I'd appreciate it if you told me.
Nah, nothing overtly fishy. Yeah. And like Kit Kat was no more accustomed to you or wanting of you than normal.
Yeah, you would imagine she would be like way more into me if I came in smelling of fresh fish.
Yeah, she'd be all up in your grill.
Fresh fish. We catch them, you buy them.
Good. Well, after that interesting story to start things off, welcome to another episode of Miscy Business. Miscy Business. And we have our good friend Dave Gonzalez with us today.
Hey.
Hello, Dave.
How's it going?
Oh, I didn't mean that one.
Wrong button.
There we go. You threw me off. You said the green one should be the claps. And then I pressed the green one and it did that.
Somehow that was better. But we're very happy to have Dave on. I think. Wait, did Dave do our first episode of the old?
No, he did the test episode.
Oh, that's right.
Never made the air.
I don't know. No, surely it aired. I think it did. No, it did. It did air.
Did we air it?
Yeah, it was like our pilot episode.
Yeah.
And then we canned you from then onwards. That's great. But here you are again.
Invited back.
Used and abused.
Yeah. You were meant to do our graphics. He did that for ages though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
you
like
did.
a year. Oh, I don't know. It felt like a year.
It would have been about a year.
Yeah.
I definitely remember there being like because we were doing runs of like 12 episodes, I think.
Oh yeah,
And he would have made it to about season 3, season 4.
Yeah.
How many episodes in the end was there? Like 100?
There's a lot. There's over 100. Yeah. It was a
We did
lot.
a lot of episodes of that.
Yeah. And it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I've listened to it since and it was
same.
really good. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've spoken about this. We'll probably get hints of that come back through, I think.
Yeah.
But
I'm of two minds about that. I feel like I want to do live shows.
yeah.
So if we're gonna do like a live show and like have crowds, then I would be interested in doing that format.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's engaging for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
It's almost like a trivia night on steroids.
Yeah. Because I know there's apps out there where you can like literally people on their phone can like vote.
Oh, I was going to say,
And-
so you get
yeah.
crowd involvement.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So we'll have like sort of two teams going, and like you'll be on a team each, and then the crowd can like just have access to this app. It'll be like a browser-based thing, and then you can just choose like A or B, and at the end,
I like that.
the accumulative scores will go to your teams, and then there'll be like crowned winners at the end. We'll give them prizes. You can pay for that.
Yep,
So
done.
good.
Sure. Yep, no worries. Easy done.
You get your company to sponsor it.
That'd
That'd be even better.
Yes, that undisclosed company. I mean, what's the new thing now? Alibaba Express? Is that what we've
Yeah.
moved from Wish to that now?
There's a new one, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Oh,
can't
it's not
remember what
that
called.
Temu, is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Temu.
There's
yeah.
like literally.
They don't ship to Australia. I've checked.
Oh, don't they?
Yeah, not yet.
They're incredibly cheap. Was that where you saw the go-karts for like $10?
No, that was TikTok. So
Okay.
I found TikToks, and then I found after those go-karts, I found a TikTok for like $10, and they were just converted. You remember those hoverboards? They were
Yeah,
converted
cool.
to have like an attachment on them, so they were just go-karts. And I was like, wow, we should buy these.
So was it like two hoverboards connected?
No, it was one hoverboard, but
That would power it.
but
Oh,
so
like at the back. Yeah.
yeah. So then when you press your foot down, it tilts it
Yeah.
under you, and then that's what makes it sort of accelerate. And yeah, Pretty good idea. I mean, I know they existed. I just didn't realize that's what they were until I actually looked into it. And then I found for like a couple of bucks some desktop Hot Wheels / Matchbox car sized remote control cars.
Cool.
And they were drift cars, and they had light up like, you know, all the lights worked, or like the tail lights worked and stuff like that. And I was like, man, we should get these and race them. And then I was looking into that, and I was like, oh, these are way too cheap, because I found them on Alibaba, and they were like almost $60 each, and they were selling them for like $5. And I was like, this just seems like one of those situations where I'm going to pay $10 for a Demon Slayer hoodie and never get it.
Oh, yes.
True story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll never let that go.
No, I still email him.
That was just, I love that. Do you have like do you just have a calendar, a reminder set up
I don't.
for once a month?
48 hours.
Just like, yeah.
Just every now and then when I remember, I just like forward to him again. It's just-
Hi, just checking in on that
Yeah,
hoodie from
yeah.
2020?
yeah.
2020?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
years ago now. Yeah. Yeah.
Has he released hoodies since?
No, well, I don't know. I haven't. See, I saw it on an Instagram ad, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, $10 hoodie, Demon Slayer," and it was yellow. I don't own a yellow hoodie, and I was like, "Oh yeah, hell's yeah, I could do a yellow hoodie."
Yeah.
And yeah, it just never came.
Didn't
and then
G order one as well?
Yeah, me and G both ordered it, and then we both independently emailed him. And then G was like requesting a refund, and I've gone the other route, and I've like been requesting the product.
Did she get a refund?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No. We threw that money away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of money to be fair,
Nah.
but you know, how many people did you do that to? That's a good scheme.
Yeah, well, that's it, right?
That's a
That's
smart
where it
scheme.
adds up. It's fucking...
$10 for each sucker like me. That's pretty
Yeah.
fucking good. The renders were pretty good too. They looked like pretty decent. I was like, fuck, this is pretty professional looking.
They're
Which
very
is-
clever.
Not uncommon not something we're uncommon with, really. Like looking professional when we're not. Like we've always presented well. I
Every
feel.
day of my life.
Yeah. Like not even just in our professional lives,
Literally.
but like we've done a lot of projects. Like accumulatively between us, we've done a lot of projects.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys start? You guys were doing stuff together before me.
Yeah, because we did the magazine.
True.
I think that was
the
our
first
that was our start. I mean, we'd worked together for a long time. Like
Yeah.
Dave and I have known each other for 13 years, we'll say. I reckon around that ballpark, maybe even longer. 14. What am I? 35? Yeah, about 14 years or something like
Yeah.
that. A long time. Yeah. So,
And you started the zine. You started.
yeah, Daily Grind.
Daily Grind.
So we did that when we were at Scooter Hut, kind of as a little side thing. Was I at? No, I wasn't at Scooter Hut at the time. You still were. Or did we
Really?
both leave? No, we were both not at Scooter Hut.
Surely we would have both been there.
You were.
Because I don't think I would have pitched, hey, let's do a scooter magazine by myself. Like you would have. I
Yeah,
don't know,
we
got
must have
involved.
still
were still
been there.
there. Yeah.
I was, I think, in and out because I was doing the music. I'd started the music stuff. I definitely remember I'd started
Right.
doing my music
Yeah.
booking. But you're right, I must have had one foot in the door still. And then came back around. But we did all right to start with, to be honest. It's the one thing Dave and I reflect on. We're like, shit, that's probably something we could have almost kept up
Yeah.
if we weren't so time poor.
The effort was high.
Yeah, it got harder progressively. Like issue 1 and 2, I think was easy in
Yeah.
a way. Like people were like, this is cool, it's new, let's
Yeah.
be interviewed in it. And like putting together the content was easy enough.
Yeah.
Then as we got to like issue 3, 4, and then 5 was a fucking slog. Like I think that was like almost 3 months late on release because it was just like, where's the interviews coming from? Who are we speaking to?
Right.
And like, to be honest, you're dealing with like people in the scooter community and no disrespect to anyone in the scooter community. They'll admit it that they're not exactly the best when it comes to timelines.
Yeah.
So I was like, we've got this magazine coming up. Can you?
Or fulfilling their contracts.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Or being anywhere at the time they're supposed to be.
oh, yeah. Look, the people I spoke to were lovely.
Yeah.
and great and awesome. But it was one of those things. Like, I think we got the backing of like the retail. Like, because what was it? First issue was like 10,000. No, we did like fucking 20,000 on the first issue.
Hold
that
on, walk
was
me
the
walk me
details,
through the
but
process of like making a magazine. Like what was that initial idea thing like? And then who figured out what you actually needed to do to physically make a magazine?
I'm going to say we both kind of worked it out. Then Dave did the layout / design. Well, not like kind of. He did all of that.
Yep.
Then for me, it was my job to kind of pull the content together to then get to Dave of how that would fit and flow.
Right.
And I think the concept kind of came up because there was magazines already and they had existed and did okay in the scooter industry. then we kind of were like, we wanted those magazines because, in all due respect, they weren't done that well.
Yeah.
Apart from the Vault zine, that was done pretty well.
Yeah.
And we wanted to kind of bring those poorly done magazines together with like your Thrasher
Yeah.
kind of magazine. And I remember we went out and bought, I think, Skate, like
Yeah, we had Thrasher, and then was
skateboard,
that the other one?
Transworld
Yeah, yeah,
skateboarding.
yeah.
That's right. We literally had them.
Yeah.
And then like whatever the other Scoot mag. That's right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
another one, and we we're like, how do we like meld these into one layout wise and everything? And then we went from there, but it was wasn't hard really, was it? We emailed China literally through Alibaba, I think.
Yeah.
And we got, Scott, props to Scott from Scooter Hut. He gave us the contact for China, I think
right,
it was. Yeah. Because it was the same people that made their grip tape.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then
Yeah,
we
that's right, yeah.
even released grip tape. And to be honest, Scott was super supportive. So we sold, I think, 1,000 sheets of grip tape
Dude,
through Scooter Hut.
I remember that grip tape being very highly requested.
And this is what I mean. So, like, I'm doing all the talking here, but, like, I'm sure Dave can chip in as well on this. But it was like, we didn't do bad. Like I said, we got, like, 20,000 copies on the first issue we got to move through retail stores. Then I think then it went 10,000. And then I think we went 555.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was more of a print cost thing. We didn't want to front up. Like, it just didn't, and, like, was it issue 4 and 5 we did locally in the end? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Local printing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere, where was it? Like
Mornington.
Yeah,
Mornington.
yeah.
I remember that. Like, but the crazy thing is, and this is why, like, I think Dave and I have our moments where we look back on it. It was probably issue 5 was where we probably wanted it to be. It was this like nice little A5 pocket mag.
Yes.
And
That's what I remember.
Looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And like the quality was, I'm going to say, like, not patting ourselves on the back too hard here, but fucking up there.
No,
Like,
that's what I mean. Like, we've always presented professionally. Like, everything we've done in the mediums that we've tried,
Yep.
what we've put forward has been a very professional looking finish. And that magazine was and obviously I worked very, very deep in Scooter Hut at that time. And those magazines did not look like they were made by, a couple of scrubs in the suburbs. It looked like it was a proper magazine.
Yeah. And I think what
Which
hurt,
it was.
what hurt us a
To be
little
fair.
bit was the cost of digital. Because we were probably before our time. Like, I don't think digital, if we had released a digital mag now,
Yep.
it would have done better than what it did then.
Right.
Yeah, because I think
Thoughts?
who did we go through? We went through a service, and it felt like, I don't know, we just weren't getting anything back from it.
Yeah.
It was a
well-
really like restrictive platform.
Yeah. We were like pretty much breaking even, in the
Yeah.
end, I think, with that. Was it issue?
Yeah, I
Issue or
think
something
so.
like that. And like aggregator, like what we use for the podcast, like it went through to like, Apple magazines and all that stuff. And we had a little app, like you could download the TDG app and your mags would flow into that.
Yep.
But yeah, it just didn't really add up. And you couldn't sell a magazine for a high enough price to keep it attractive and to make money off it.
Yeah.
Like a yearly sub, I think ended up being 4 issues a year. A yearly sub was like $8.99. So it's like what you needed in terms of the uptake was like, it was too hard. Like you couldn't make profit off the digital side. You needed to really, it was like what, wholesale plus 15% or something like that. I think we worked out, or 20% is what we made money on.
Yep.
So with the physical,
Yeah.
and it was just a matter of getting people to bulk buy that really.
I feel like definitely what you said just before, digital would be better now than it was back then.
Yeah.
And I know, like, because everyone was lurched forward in technology about 10 years by lockdown, like, people were doing things that they didn't want to do or that they wouldn't have thought they wanted to do, and now they've been sort of pushed forward into it. So things like manga and comic books especially have gotten really, like, their markets have just bolstered tenfold. Even just like so I watch a lot of anime, and you'll find that the anime subscriptions that I have now offer manga subscriptions as part of it, because they're finding that, people are just going to read through these apps as well.
Yeah.
Rather than physically going and buying the manga. And, books did it. Books tried to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they got Kindles and they were pretty popular for a bit. And
Yeah.
a lot of people listen to books now as opposed to actually reading them.
Yeah.
Which, I don't think is any different in terms of, like, consuming
There
the
you go,
content.
Dave. Let's come back as an audio mag.
An audio mag.
Here is Juzzy Carter doing the grind.
But how, like, let's say...
Imagine a 15-foot rail
Yeah.
as he glides smoothly down it.
I'll leave that part to you. All right?
Yeah.
He's very attractive, tall, slender man, very long hair, flowing in the wind, sharp jaw.
yeah.
He's doing really well for himself, man.
Yeah,
And
he is.
like, and I love to see him succeed because I think he is just such a genuinely good soul and human being.
Yeah.
And I like seeing, him travel around the world and him like doing his modeling thing as well. And it's just like so.
Yeah, Jesse Carter's a model for context
really?
now.
Okay.
Like literally with LMG or IMG agency or whatever they're called, like one of the big agencies. It's
Yeah, cool.
bizarre. He was in like Spanish Vogue or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah.
weird, but good.
But he does like a bunch of modeling gigs, and like you can see his fashion is like lurched forward as well, and he dresses like really like a little bit left of center, and it like suits him because he's got like the confidence and he's got the body for it, and he's
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, like I don't know if he actively was seeking out modeling because I haven't talked to him about it, but I love seeing it, man. I love seeing that he's really latched into that, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. But he's effectively subsidizing his scooter career.
Yeah,
Because he'd be making a bit of money off scooters, but he's just subsidizing by doing the modeling.
yeah, 100%.
And it could end up being a bigger thing for him. But
Yeah.
then, like, let's talk about what if you guys were releasing a magazine today, right?
Yep.
And it was the Daily Grind magazine. It was about scootering. And how do you subsidize more money coming in because you've got, you're putting out the digital editions and you're not making enough from that to make it worth the time that you're putting into it.
Yeah.
How do you subsidize that? What would you do to subsidize that?
Dave?
You were always the money guy. I was just there, like pulling together the design.
But you did a hell of a job. Yeah, I mean, it would probably be revisiting the things like the grip tape and the accessories, I think.
Yeah.
I think that would be the way you'd go. Like just when Dave. So I think if
Artists don't make money off Spotify, do they? They make money off of merchandise.
Correct, right? Like
Yeah.
if we had stuck to it, I think the path Dave and I were looking at, because we did look at it at the time, even was like creating like pegs and like wax
Yeah,
and
just
stuff
so
like that.
small.
Disposable goods was
Yeah.
what we were looking down the path of. I reckon if we'd stuck around and pushed through it, we might have even looked at, wheels, maybe spoken to, once again, giving Scott a lot of airtime, but spoken to Scott and be like, hey, is there a potential for a Root Industries collab? Almost operate like we were a rider
Yeah.
and then have SIG parts off the back of the magazine.
Absolutely.
I think that's what we would do.
And then where does it
'Cause-
roll on from then? Then you can actually sponsor riders.
Yeah,
then all of a
correct.
sudden you've got like your own riding team,
Yeah.
and you're different, right? Because you're separate from other brands because you're not really like locking these guys down to having, I know a lot of the riders, the professional riders in scootering, were really restricted by their contracts.
Yep.
And they really hated that, like, I ride for this brand, I have to use all of their parts, but I really like this one thing from this other brand, and I'd really like to use that. And they're just not allowed to because their contract stipulates it. And if they get caught or they see a photo or a video and they don't have all their parts, they would just get absolutely raked over the coals. And it would be different to that, though,
Yeah.
because you're a magazine and you're not really restricting them with that kind of stuff. So you would have bits and pieces.
No, if anything,
And
we
it
would have
wouldn't-
encouraged them to have more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Broader
For
scope.
content,
Yeah. And it
Go out
doesn't
and
matter.
try all the different parts.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Please.
Yeah. Because then you would collab with each different brand.
Yeah.
And the real like upside of that is that you now no longer need to learn what it takes to produce a product. You no longer have to have contacts in, China or wherever to have those products made. Now you're just like putting down your brand name on something that they could have made otherwise. But now because it's got your brand name on it, you're getting paid for that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's good.
I mean,
Smart, Jamie. Good call out. There you go.
I have my
Where were you a few years ago?
Yeah, no. I have my brief moments, but fuck. I mean, like from a putting content together standpoint. I mean, Dave can probably comment on that. I mean, how hard was that for you, Dave? Do you reckon, or it came? I don't know. Do you think it came pretty naturally, like the flow?
I think towards the end there, I had a good range of templates that I could just drop in different images. Maybe I'd play around with some different title graphics and things. But overall, it was probably a level of consistency between the mags, which made it easy not easy, but like less time consuming than it probably was initially. I feel like that time was decreasing each issue.
It helps that you had the creative control as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
didn't have to
We
go
were
on.
pretty good. Like it was a good. I'd like to say we were a good team in that way. Where I was like, Dave, you design it how you want to design it.
Yeah.
I'll just get you the shit to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Because like Dave would have like, let's say there was a Mad Gear ad and they
Yep.
booked a double page. Dave would or a single page. Dave would strategically, like I would help him find a picture of a Mad Gear rider to
Yeah.
have on the opposite page. So there was flow to the magazine.
Yeah.
Like if you went to go flip through one of those magazines now in retrospect, you'd be like, oh shit, okay, this makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Like Dave was very good like that. And there would be like he'd have ratios of where ads would go and how many ads we would have and like to make it still tangible and not just a catalog. And I think that was pretty good, like to be honest. I think it was a good flow in that way and a good balance.
Hard thing about the scooter riders as well was that they were so protective of their own content as well, because they really wanted to be celebrities in their own right. Because if you think about it, there's just not much room at the top. There's not enough pie to go around for someone to make a living out of that sport. So a lot of them would hold on to their best bits for their own usage. And that's a bit challenging as well.
I learned a fair bit about that getting the content for Dave because like I dealt with like Shelby Grimnez. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Sorry, Shelby, if you ever tune in. One of the photographers over in the US, and she'd just have different pay rates. Like if something was an exclusive pick for us, I'd essentially go to Dave and be like, Dave, this could cost us, $150. And but then we get 10 pictures that were throwaways for $50. And it's like, all right, cool. Or, we'd pay her a day rate and she'd go out and get photos for us, specifically if we had like a feature interview. And things like that. And it worked, I don't know, it worked pretty well. It's one of the things I've been out of the scene for too long to do it, but I always pick it up and I look at it and almost be like, fuck, how could we do this again?
Yeah.
Would it even work now? Who knows? I don't know. A kid's like that far away from physical, probably, like, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But,
and we were lucky enough to loop them in. I mean, at that point, I was high enough in the company to loop like Daily Grind zines into like sales things. So we were able,
and look, and that's the way it would have worked.
Yeah,
That's what the
so.
Vault did. Like, the only way it could have been remained tangible is if someone like Scott or a business of that sort used it as a gift with purchase.
Yeah, and we were doing that. We were running promos. It was like, spend $100, get Daily Grind this,
and I mean,
spend $150, get
we
Daily
were
Grind
conscious
this
of that. I think like we never went over nowhere near $3 a copy at wholesale.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like our RRP on it was like $6.95.
Yeah.
And I think we were pretty conscious of keeping it as close to $2 like as possible. And that $2 still allowed us, I think, to make something on them.
Yeah.
Well, definitely it did, because otherwise we wouldn't have done it. But it was the clearest, I think, from all the things, as you mentioned earlier, that we have done in time. It was the clearest. Oh, there's a paycheck at the end of this.
Yeah.
Every time we
actually saw some money.
Yeah, we didn't have an issue that we didn't have a paycheck.
Yeah.
Whether it be from grip tape sales throughout that time or just bulk selling the issues, we always made something off the back of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we charged a pittance for ad space. That was almost like our system was, or in my mind it was, if we can cover the magazine costs through the ads, well, then what we sell the magazine for is almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
So that's where it allowed us to have a really low, let's say it even cost us $3.50 to make it, but we'd sold it at $2. It didn't matter because we'd already covered that $3.50 off the ads.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So the system worked. Yeah.
That's the Mr. Beast thing, man. Like, Mr. Beast already has the cost of his videos covered before he records them.
Yeah.
And he has it through, like, people who sponsor the video. And then he just funnels that into the video itself. So these videos where he's giving away, like, oh, this money, he's already got that money, man. Like, someone's already given him that money. And that's exactly what you guys did. Just at, like, obviously, a way less cringy level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we weren't.
So,
Much smaller scale as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Daily Grind was first.
Yep.
So that was the first thing. What was next? What did you guys do next?
What did we do next?
I guess it was the store.
It was the store, I think,
Yeah.
with Liam and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, we did Mountain Thousand.
You did
for a little
Mountain
bit.
1000.
Oh, yeah.
We did have a blog.
So talk to me about Mountain 1000. What was involved in setting that up? And what was that supposed to be? What was the idea there behind Mountain 1000?
It's kind of the same thing. Like, I was doing all the design in terms of website design.
Yeah.
Setting up.
You had some ripper
What it
articles
would
too,
look
though.
like. Oh, that's true. I did contribute some stuff there
Yeah.
as well. But I think the
Same setup though it was. Like ideally, the same setup was content, design. I'm pointing at people like people
great for
hear that.
audio. Yep.
I'm pointing at Dave now for design, and now pointing at myself for content. But yeah, I think that like, I don't know, like a holistic kind of pop culture website, to be honest.
It started away though. What? Oh man, my memory for stuff like that.
I'm the same. Isn't it funny?
We had like an intention going into it.
We definitely
of what
did.
it was going to be, and then it quickly just became like.
I'll lift your mic up a little bit. Sorry, just get it a little bit more like right, basically against your lips there. Yeah. There you go. Good.
What was I saying? Yeah. So I think we had an intention going into it, but then I don't know. Then it just turned into just like a general whatever we thought would kind of get some attention.
Yeah.
We'd give
like
it a go.
that time we posted about a kid's book and it got us like our most blog hits
that was crazy.
ever. And then we got threatened by some person because the authors got accused of racism.
Oh.
Not accused. There was a picture of them posted wearing blackface at a party. Cause,
Oh man, come on, man. Like,
so yeah, we got hit up and we're like, oh fuck, do we need to take this down? Because didn't we have like, was it 10,000 or was it 100,000 views on it? It was something
It was sizable.
dumb.
Somehow we jumped on that like quickly. I don't know how we came across it.
It was that ABC to Jay-Z book.
Yeah.
That like you see everywhere now. And like the author at the time just got smashed for going to a party dressed up as, I think, Michael Jordan.
right.
Oh yeah,
something
I can't
like
remember,
that.
But there was definitely blackface involved.
Yeah.
Dude, when asked the question like when does at what point does ignorance become racism? That's the line. It's blackface. Like if you think you're not doing something racist still and you think that that's an innocent mistake, that crosses that line between ignorance and racism, I feel.
Yeah, true. But I mean, in terms of that, like it was interesting. Like Dave did a lot of the heavy lift in terms of learning SEO and all that stuff and getting the WordPress backend set up.
Yep.
Once again, you click on that. The website still exists, mountain1000.com.au.
Yep.
I've put like an article up once a year for the past 4 years, but it looks very professional.
Yeah.
I would say. Like, once again, Dave knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Let's all, like, for context, Dave just works for a builder as a day job. So keep that in mind when you look at this website, that it's very impressive. But I think I learned a lot from it about, like, the SEO part is crazy what result it can give you if you play to it.
Yeah.
Like, you did an article around Gildan being used by like famous brands and it fucking like, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, no, actually maybe even 10,000 clicks on it. And it's like, what the fuck? And then like,
because I feel like that would have come out kind of before drop shipping.
Yeah.
Your digital printing.
Like, then it's exactly that. It's a timing thing, right? Because then when they did the DC Universe, like their showcase in like 2017, maybe.
Right.
Before the time of ChatGPT, I kind of semi-plagiarized. I didn't plagiarize, but I rewrote. I essentially rewrote the schedule for that event, posted the YouTube link, and that got like 5,000 views.
Right.
And it was just because you were there posting it first.
Yeah.
Like, so it was so odd. And actually, Mountain 1000, the blog came off the back of the fact we already had a daily grind blog. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we were planning to move towards once the magazine stopped.
So this is what I've talked about with you about this podcast is I would like use AI to transcribe our episodes
and put it into
and
article
put them
form.
up as a blog form. And SEO can really do wonders for you in that way in generating clicks because if you're hitting like a bunch of keywords, it only takes like a certain amount of people to Google that and it just sort of starts popping up for them, you know? So yeah, I have some vested interest in that.
Yeah. But the Mountain 1000 blog though, I think once again, it was just one of those things. I think we just grow time poor, to be honest.
Mountain
Kills us
1000
every
was
time.
a bit, to me, from the outside looking in, because I wasn't involved in Mountain 1000 until later.
Yeah, because the podcast was technically Mountain 1000 presents Miscellaneous.
It was.
Really?
Yeah.
So Miscellaneous was I would say my brainchild initially, and we didn't know what we wanted to do in terms of podcasting, and I wanted to be a game show host, and that's like not something that's dissimilar to me today. I did very much enjoy that, and Miscellaneous was launched through the Mountain 1000 blog space, and Dave was involved with it for that reason. So you did all our graphics. You did all our graphics for a long time. Yeah, like we think at least somewhere to the tune of
3 seasons,
about 100-ish episodes, I'd say. It'd be around that region.
Yeah, actually, you did do it for a long while.
Yeah. And And it was a good show. That was a great show, Miscellaneous. It was, and it still is. You listen back on it, and it's really interesting. It's kind of like looking into a time capsule on the memes that were active at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it's very different to what is happening now, because at the time that we were doing Miscellaneous, the game show, TikTok actually didn't exist yet. So we were doing it. We were doing it pre, video format memes being the primary type of meme share. So I was just finding a different focal point every week.
Yeah.
Finding about 10 memes to do with that, and they had to be audio as well, and it was all based off things that I found on YouTube. And yeah, that was a really good show, and I feel like we did really well with it. And a lot of the reason we stopped doing it is because lockdown occurred.
Yeah, that's right.
And we tried to do some other things, and we got in a couple of weeks, and we refused to do the podcast from home.
Yeah.
We were thinking about it, but there's too much stop-start when you try to talk to someone else.
Yeah.
And it doesn't translate too well, but I was thinking about it. And then we went to Twitch, man, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we started streaming.
So Twitch would be your next project.
Yes.
So we
off the back of
together,
this.
we did Twitch, and we did it for a couple of years. We got a good following, I would say. We got a very loyal following at that. We had pretty regular income coming in from that too.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
it wasn't a lot of money, but it was some. And we use it to fund a handful of different things that we did. But we weren't taking home paychecks.
No.
We were basically just.
But we weren't spending money either.
That's true. Because when we did do things when we got together, we would be like, okay, well, look, we've got there's X amount of dollars in the thing, so let's just use that.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. It was good. And then we are here today. Yes. Yeah, technically, yeah. I'd say with a short break. Did we have a bit of a break from we did between Twitch and then this? Yeah, we definitely did.
There was a break, yeah. We stopped Twitch about January of this year. And we've effectively just only started up the podcast because that was what we wanted to do now,
a month ago. Yeah.
Because Twitch was fun and all, but in terms of what sort of growth you can get from there, we had reached a limit of what we were capable of doing. And I don't think we were in that particular space interesting or special enough to break through what the already popular crowds were.
Yeah.
Because there's a real big culture thing in Twitch. Either you've got no viewers, you've got 12 viewers, or you've got 200,000, and there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
And we got to that couple, we had a dozen viewers each stream, and it was rad, and we had a lot of fun with those people. And we still have a Discord for that, by the way. Follow us on Discord. And there's something in our hearts that'll always be there for that. And I just don't think I want to continue doing it, though. I don't think I want Twitch to be a regular thing.
I think from my side, and then we're going to get onto what you're doing, Dave, so don't run away.
This is where we're leading to.
Yeah. From my side as well, as I've mentioned numerous times already with all the other projects, time poor is my MO, unfortunately, because I get caught up with life and then unfortunately lose focus. It's a big issue of mine. The podcasting, though, works in my favor in the way that you can do it somewhat whenever. Yeah. And I can fit it into a schedule.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Twitch streaming, yes, it was schedule based, but I've got kids now and they're young kids, and it's if they didn't want to go to bed by a certain time, I'd be like, sorry guys, can't get on that stream tonight that you've planned because I'm fighting a two-year-old, let's say at the time.
Yeah. And the thing that made our channel different was that we were running multicams and we had different POVs.
Yeah.
And that's what made our podcast, our Twitch stream better than the average Twitch stream. It was more fun to watch because you got basically 4 people for the price of 1.
Yeah.
And when we didn't have that, it kind of threw the dynamic out a little bit.
Yeah.
Depending on what we were playing. Obviously there were other games that we played 2-player game mode, 3-player game mode, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it had a lot of legs. I think it was a lot more fun. It's definitely the format that I prefer because Twitch is definitely my jam. But I just don't think I was giving anything new to the viewer, anything that they would truly walk away and appreciate. And I think in this format, we can do that.
Yeah.
But in Twitch, we were just another drop in what was an endless ocean.
Yeah. Because I'm always a big believer, anyone that like I tell that I'm doing a podcast, firstly cringes and is like, ugh, of course you do. But
White, tick, 30, tick.
yeah, definitely. I'm literally right on the mark.
Yeah.
But I think for me, there could be 100,000 of these podcasts and it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I literally see no issue with it because my theory on that is like we have special guests come on, like Dave. We talk about like, yes, you will talk about similar things, but not everyone will talk about things in the same way. And there'll be people that we interview that no one else on those other 99,000 like 99,999 podcasts will interview either.
Yeah.
So I think there's enough people in the world that you can interview other people, if that makes sense. And it's like it can still be different in that way.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, not everyone will have our mannerisms, have our way of doing. So I think podcasts are one of those things. Who fucking cares if there's another 100,000 with the same format? It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
I think you can do it and it still be successful.
It's interesting as well because if you look at all the stuff that we've done from another perspective, you could call all of our projects that we've had as failures, but like I don't know, I don't really view it that much in that way. I feel like they're definitely learning experiences.
Yeah.
And I feel like people that do really well or become really well known in those spaces are either famous already or they're just hitting the lottery.
Dude,
man.
I wouldn't call them
Like,
failures at all. Like even going back on the things, Dave and I fucking know how to print a magazine from literal scratch to fucking having it in your hands
Yeah.
and distribute it.
No, well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the
No,
product
but I
wasn't
get
good.
what you mean. Like
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of like everything kind of came to an end, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just going like it sounds like such a lame thing to say. They're not failings, they're learnings, but they are. Like the amount of knowledge that we've picked up along the way, you've picked up, like, you know, your ability across social media and podcasting in general is like now far, far superior to the common person off the street.
To the average.
So,
Yeah,
like
that's true.
It's nuts, right? And like I said, even the way Dave picked up SEO for the blog and stuff like that, like what Dave never in his day job would have needed to look at SEO, but now he knows it. And if someone was to quiz him on it, he'd at least know the basics of it and be like, yeah, this is how it works. You play to the buzzwords, you do this, you do that, you optimize it, and off we go, which is nuts.
So I got one more thing, and then I've been leading. Like effectively, I wanted to like give chat. I'm thinking in my head like Twitch. I wanted to give the listeners like a journey of like where we came from and like what Dave's doing now.
Yeah.
And the last thing that we did together was we actually did open a store.
Yes.
So we cottoned on to drop shipping, I would say, ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Not the first people to do it by any stretch of the imagination, but a little bit ahead of the curve.
Yep.
We were definitely doing it before lockdown, and we weren't doing like, you know, like those influencer things where you like see what's selling on Amazon and then buy it off Alibaba and sell it cheaper. It's like, yes, everyone knows this. We actually were sticking within our wheelhouse and we were doing scooters.
Yep.
We had contacts at a handful of different distributors.
Yep.
Which was why we were able to do it in that median.
Yep.
We weren't producing our own products. We were reselling products we were selling new products straight from the distributor.
Yep.
So when we would actually sell the product, they would pack it and ship it for us. It cut a lot out of our profit, but it took a lot of labor out.
Yep.
And we didn't have much time. So now in that particular point in time, was only interested in the retail aspect of the area.
Yeah.
And that's all I really did. And I did help a bit with like, you know, skewing and doing barcodes and blah, blah, blah. Like that kind of, dude. The nights that I spent on spreadsheets. that is genuinely wasted time.
Look, I think like, you know, getting straight to the crux of that one.
Yeah.
We just, I think, leaned in too hard to try and compete. Yeah. And I think that's just ultimately what was the demise of that, was that we probably could have just stuck to our guns, sat on higher margins and had a slower burn.
Yeah.
But not have lost as much money or wasted as much time.
Yeah. We were making okay money for a bit there, and we decided to use that money to open a physical outlet.
And that's what got us a bit.
And we were paying for the outlet.
Yeah,
It was, the company was paying for itself, but it wasn't paying us.
No, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly to that point. We ended up completely neutral.
Yeah.
Really.
And when it got to December, and we were going to the warehouse every other fucking night to pack shit so that we could get it picked up. And then it gets to Christmas, and I'm like, man, we got fucking nothing for that, man.
Yeah.
Like, well, what do we
Yeah.
really have to show
Yeah.
for it? And that's the point where I fell off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Mm.
Because I mean, like the sales were there, but it just didn't translate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
If I did it on my own, you could like, or if any one of us did it on our own, you could have made profit because it would have just been one person. But when you've got to look at splitting it 4 ways, because
Yeah.
we're doing it with someone else as well.
Yeah.
The profit split just made it just
If
not worth
you-
your time.
If you had to do it again, you would,
Wage.
yeah.
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 You do hourly wage.
Yeah. And you would keep it just online,
Uh-huh.
I think. Don't
Yeah.
worry about the shop front.
Yep. Do pop-ups.
Yeah, and
You
you
know,
would stick
yeah.
you would stick to the, I think, like I said, just a strong price point.
Mm.
And then if you really had to do an odd sale here or there.
Oh, we could do pop-ups out of the back of one of those minivans.
Oh yeah.
Just keep that under the wrap somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our next thing.
Yeah, stay tuned in a few podcast time.
Yeah.
Straight from
There's another thing that's on the burner there, but
Oh,
we're not ready to talk about that yet.
But,
we're still in the conceptualization phase there.
oh man.
Yeah.
But once again, learnings, right? Not failings. Like
Yeah.
I think ultimately, once again, we still did the thing. It's not like we never did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A failing to me would be like we tried to open an online store and didn't,
Yeah.
or whatever. It's
You
like,
know what,
well, we
man?
did
I
it.
miss that warehouse. I
Yeah.
loved going
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
same.
it's cool.
It felt
Good
good.
space.
Yeah.
It felt
was
good
very
having your
cool.
own space, definitely. And it felt good when, like, there was, I remember 2 calls very specifically with people who were just, like, really cunty. And I was just like, I really don't have anyone to answer here. And I was just like, you know what? Please stop calling us. And they were like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah, please do not call us again. Just,
Yeah.
like, hang up the phone. Because who have I got to answer to? No one, you know?
Yeah.
And they were being really, like, and this typical customer service stuff, them being like, this person had this and you guys don't have it and I want the pink one and you've only got the purple one, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I actually don't have to deal with that anymore. And I don't want to.
I'm a grown up who actually is a part owner in this business, so I can hang up on you, and I will. Bye.
And I did. Yeah. And I was like, and I said it, please do not call us again.
Yeah.
I just hung up on them.
Man,
One of them did call back, so I blocked their number.
that's good.
I wasn't aware of this. I'm now wondering if maybe if you took a different approach, we might still be afloat.
We did really well otherwise though. We had a good little store there. We had a little workshop.
Yep, yep.
And that was really good. And the people that came there, it's funny because a lot of them did recognize us because we kind of all left Scooter Hut roughly like within about 6 to 8 months of each other.
Yeah.
And then we opened up this store and the people that came there, they were like, oh, you're the guy from Scooter Hut. And they'd be like, oh, wow. Yeah. Ever since it just hasn't been any good. And I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. That's why I left.
Yep. Yep.
Is when Scooter Hut was running like a startup, that was its premium time to work there.
Oh, 100%. Well, like, yeah, Dave and I literally, that's a fun story. Should we talk
made
about
too
the
much- they made too
story
much
of my
money.
hiring and what happened there? Just quickly
Not yet,
before
not yet,
Street
not
Three?
yet.
No,
We can go
okay,
back to that. We'll
that.
circle back.
Okay, over
Because-
to Dave. What's Dave doing now? Are we
Now,
allowed to?
I want to talk about what Dave's
good.
doing
All
now.
right.
So
Yeah, okay.
please, Dave,
Yes.
tell us what your current thing that you're looking into.
Just quickly, for those that are listening, Dave has come extremely prepared, the most prepared of any guest we've had, more prepared than us as hosts, which is great. So we're
Yeah, I've
really
actually
printed.
printed something out.
Yeah,
but-
yes.
We'll see if
Physical
we get to
paper,
it.
everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but that was a good like lead in, and I think they were all kind of important parts of the journey, I suppose. And I think for me, after the store, I probably took a year off doing anything.
Yep.
I think I kind of just wanted to chill, like whatever.
Yep.
Not,
How many other ideas did you have though?
Oh, heaps.
Yeah.
And even leading into this, like all the time. I don't know. It's just something in us, I think, and
Yeah.
a lot of people our age and whatever. Like
Yeah.
you kind of, you put your hours in at work and you take that seriously. But for me, anyway, I really like if I could ever work for myself and have something that I've built from the ground up, and that's paying the bills. Like that would be a huge dream for me, and whatever it ends up being, like it's almost irrelevant. Like just getting to that point would be really cool. But then I think after the store, I kind of changed my mindset a little bit. Like I wanted to focus less on what can I do that's going to make money and more on just like what can I do as a hobby that might grow into something bigger at some point.
Yeah.
So kind of taking a different angle with it. And I don't remember exactly how this came about. Like, I think I started, I almost started like, because I've always had a bit of an interest in graphic design, and I think I was thinking about like, like not an original idea, but like t-shirts or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I started looking at like, like digital prints through Etsy and thinking that, potentially that could be a way to just make some passive income or something.
Yep.
So I was working on like prints of buildings in Melbourne that were not necessarily iconic, but just nice, like old, Victorian style buildings
Aesthetic
and shop
ones.
fronts and things. And then I think through that, I started to discover like, different, I don't know, like bookstores that had gone out of business and different situations like that. And my wife and I, we spend a lot of time just like driving around looking at different neighborhoods and everything. And where we live I'm out in the east in Burwood, and it's kind of like the capital of knockdown rebuild. We've previously lived in like Bentley East, which is similar. Although the difference is like Bentley East, the houses that are getting knocked down are probably more like, I don't know, 50s, 60s, like yellow brick. There's dime a dozen type things. Whereas the stuff that's getting knocked down out my way at the moment is like, 100-year-old Victorian, beautiful houses that really add to the fabric of a suburb like that. So I think from all of those things kind of came together, and then on top of that, I wanted something that I could just like, it was pretty easy for me to contribute to. It wasn't like, I think why I moved away from the prints was I spent, I don't know, like months working on one print because I'm really pedantic, and I don't know, I'm never happy with anything I produce.
Having worked with you previously, you definitely do have like a stranglehold on things that you personally create. And you can't let go of them.
It's
because
very painful.
You have these like, I guess you have a lot more attention to the detail of what you're putting out than I think that the consumer would actually receive. But I can see it's like hard for you to release things because you just want them to be their utmost absolute perfect version of itself before you can release
Which
it.
is I think why I've got going way back onto the magazine, having a template almost for that was to your benefit. Otherwise you would never have let go of an issue. It needed to be, all right, template's full, good. I'm happy for it to go now.
Well, with what you're doing now, you've put time, and I like, you can tell you've put time and effort into, how do I want this Instagram to work?
Yeah, absolutely.
And to give the listeners an idea of what we're talking about, your new project is?
It's called Street Sleuth. So at the moment, it is just an Instagram page where I utilize Google Street View and the historical images that you can pull out of that to compare, I guess, a building and what it looks like now versus what it maybe looked like a few years ago. I think the Street View imagery goes back about 10 years, or I think to about 2010 at the earliest. And a lot of what I'm comparing is like, there's an empty block here now. There used to be this beautiful home here. What do you guys think?
Well, this was this back then, and now it's this today.
Now it's become something else. So, so it, and I think through that medium, I discovered something that I didn't have to put too much time into. I think it's, setting up, well, the most time that goes into it is actually finding it. And I'm trying to do it in not in a pure form, but like I'm trying to avoid, because you can definitely Google like, what things that have recently been demolished. I like the experience of just scrolling or like walking around in Street View and just seeing what kind of comes out of that activity. But that can take forever. Like I've spent hours doing that before, and I'm like, I better just give up because it's, I'll come back to it tomorrow or something like that. So, and going from that point, finding the building that you're focusing on, looking at the historical imagery, then doing a little bit of research to find out, well, what happened here? Like, how did this thing get demolished or whatever it might be? Pulling together, or like extracting the imagery, processing that, putting it into the templates that I've developed for the Instagram, and then releasing that. So it's a long-ish. Well, it's not a long process. It's like a couple of hours, I suppose. If you really like, I don't know, if you're not held up anyway through that process.
Okay.
But so I think there's a bit of a process involved, but compared to like selling a product, developing a magazine, whatever it might be, like it's something I can get home from my day job, I can contribute to it, I can keep it ticking over, and it's not too onerous. Yeah.
I think Twitch became really onerous to me because I had to set schedule.
Yeah.
I had to make promotional material for that schedule.
Yeah.
I had to post to all the forms of social media and tag the right people, and then like that would be like an hour's worth of work, and that's before we even start streaming. And then we stream, and the stream goes for like 3 hours, and then the next day I've got to filter through that stream to find clips. I got to post those clips. Like the whole thing just became like this huge time sink, and just not one that I was really I was really like into it to start with, and I learned a lot of like video editing. I've learned a lot of like social media and like, you know, scheduling and stuff like that. But yeah, with what you're doing now, I feel like if you come home and you're just like, you know, you've had a long day, you're not really feeling it today, you're not adhering to any sort of schedule. You don't have one that you need to follow unless you're self-imposing one.
Yeah, like I think I'm trying to hit like every 2 days
Yep.
post.
Yeah.
So which pretty much works out to most nights. Like most evenings, I'm trying to get ahead of that schedule as well. And have it banked if I can. So yeah, like it's still not every night, but I would say, you know, 3 to 4 nights a week I'm probably working on it. But it doesn't feel like a chore in the same way that, you know, like running the scooter store would have felt like a chore to all of us at some point. It's just something that I'm doing. Like, I don't have a live audience or anything. Like, no one's really paying for me for my content. It's just going out there whenever it goes out there. So it's really, and that's what I wanted to do, is start with something that I was just doing for me. And I think when I started, I obviously put it up on my own Instagram and told people about it, and was like, you know, I might not be doing this in 2 weeks' time, but for now, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah. And I think that was, October last year. So 8 months
you kept it up very well.
Still going pretty strong.
And it's growing.
Good.
Like,
I think I was kind of, and it's not all about followers and things, but like I was hovering around that like 200 to 300 mark for a while there. And then I started boosting a few posts, and that's kind of got me up to, I think by the end of the week I'll be over 1,000. So
talk to me about that. How are you boosting your posts for someone who's never done it before?
What I'm doing now is I'll post something on my Instagram page, whatever, and because I think average post, I'm probably getting like up to 10, 15 comments, something like that. Yeah. And so I'm pretty much waiting for the posts where I might get a little bit more than that. And one that I kind of posted, not latest, but previous post to that, was a classic example of that, where it was like, you know, good amount of likes, lots of content. It's funny because a lot of my content is disappointing and upsetting to people.
Yes. So, people love to dogpile on rage.
So I think positive posts where, say, like there might be an old building that's been renovated in a kind of tasteful manner, and they've been respective of the heritage and everything. That'll get a lot of likes and maybe a couple comments being like, oh, I like it, or maybe it's a lot of the renovations. The thing that people don't like is a lot of the color comes out of it. Like these days with Renos, you know, it's very like white, gray color palettes and things compared to what they originally would have been, things like that. But anyway, so you'll get a lot of likes and a lot of like comments with anything where it's like this beautiful building that's been demolished or replaced by something really modern and just not sensitive to the original build or the area or something like that. That's when you'll get like a lot of people not pleased with that situation. And it sounds awful, but that's what I'm kind of capitalizing on in a sense. Like when it gets that organic attention, that's what I'm deciding to boost. And I'm not doing it in any fancy way. I'm just minimum budget, maybe let it run for a week. I've already got my 30 hashtags and stuff in there. I'm not even getting too technical at the minute with the audience. I'm just letting Instagram decide who it should go out to. And I think that's just been really powerful for me, like, you know, because just reaching that broader audience beyond just the people that already follow you, it's been really good.
And I've noticed that definitely when people dogpile in your comments, it's pretty funny. You had one recently, and the backstory of it was that the previous owner had gone out of their way to destroy effectively what would have been classified as a heritage listed property. And then because they had destroyed it past, like, I guess a certain percentage of what would need to be there to be considered heritage,
Yeah.
the next owner was then able to apply for a permit to destroy the home and build a modern one. And the one they put down looks like 2 bricks stacked on top of each other and that have been painted grey and light grey. So, yeah. But the people in the comments were just like really going at like the idea that, oh, that person, what a piece of shit. And like,
Yeah.
it was that
was a beautiful post.
That was a really
like,
good post. Yeah.
That's like what, and even the way that came about.
Yeah.
That one was in Essendon, and I haven't spent a lot of time out there, and that's kind of been one of the good things through Street Sleuth is discovering new parts of Melbourne that I haven't, because I'm from the southeast. Like I've been out there to friends' places and whatever, but not really, I guess, looking in depth at like, you know, what are the houses like out there? What are the streets like? Things like that. So yeah, that was another example of me just, you know, scrolling around on Street View, finding this this new build, and that's always a good sign. Like if there's this brand new build that's gone up, it's like, all right, I'll look at, you know, the historical imagery from a couple of years ago and see what's there.
Yeah.
And even, I think what I've found is there's not a lot of documentation around demolition permits and planning permits and things like that.
Yep.
But this was one where, you know, it went through to, Panels Victoria, or I'm still learning all the different kind of bodies that get involved in these situations. But yeah, it was actually the same owner. So they purchased the house in its pretty like heritage form with the intention of demolishing it. They notified council about it. They submitted their demolition permit. And this is where it kind of gets a bit like, you know, if you want to point fingers, it's probably a bit on council as well, because they've looked at it and referred it to a heritage advisor who has said that, yes, we think this is significant to the area.
Yep.
And at that point, they've applied for kind of interim heritage overlay protection for the house, and then also the landscaping, the fence, the whole thing. When they've gone to do that, they've told the owner about it. And that was their reaction. Like they've stripped out all the landscaping. Like I think they replaced all the windows that were cited as like, you know, heritage feature, pulled off all the different moldings and things, painted it this like awful grey and charcoal kind of color scheme, which was just outrageous. And then when Panels Victoria, probably butchering all these different things. When they've gone to look at it, they're like, well, we've got no choice but to just assess it in its current form. And based on that, it's, you know, it's not significant. It's not worth keeping. And, and internally, I'm not sure what they would have done. But, looking through some of the real estate images, it looked like there was some nice internal features that were lost as well. So, that was a rough one, but got a lot of attention.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, one of the comments is, so the owners vandalized their own home so it could be demolished and then replace it with a rendered tissue box.
Yeah, nice. Which is also a good description.
And someone, I don't like it. I hate it very much. Destruction of beautiful homes to build concrete bunkers should be outlawed. Yeah. And then someone's like, Siri, design a hideous boxy dwelling with zero architectural merit. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, it's I mean, like, those modern houses are like, they're a dime a dozen. Every unit looks like that. And it's beyond me why anyone would want to do that to the outside of the home. And I get why like people want to have new homes because they're really easy to integrate with like new technologies and stuff like that. Yeah. Totally get it. Not my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of new houses in general. But you know, like you and I live in like houses that are probably comparable in terms of like age and just their general character.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's hard to argue that like Jamie, like we're in Jamie's house now, and it's hard to argue that his house isn't like it's bigger, it's wider, like there's
doesn't
more
leak.
It's it's got rooms that are tailor built for specifically what we're doing now. You know. Yeah. So
the irony of it is though that my house is irony the right word? Anyway, my house is made to look like an old house.
Yes.
From the outside.
Yeah.
So I did the opposite to them.
Yeah.
Where I actually built a new house to look old.
Yeah, you got one of those ones with the wood paneling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The cladding. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I don't think like everyone's open to their own like ideas of what they want to live in and whatever. I think the biggest thing that bothers me through this whole process has been when like a situation like this where the house has been there for close to 100 years.
Yeah.
It's not until someone's gone and applied for a demolition permit that the council has realised that it's worth something.
Yeah.
And it's like, at no point had you gone around and looked at what's
is
in
there-
your suburb.
Is there nothing on their system that flags that,
Yeah.
like, oh, that's right? Like, surely, like, systems are at a point now where it could be like, that house was built 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Like, they charge us rates. Wouldn't rates be associated with some form of building permit?
Yeah.
So it's bonkers to me that, like, that's not a thing.
And I'm sure it gets tricky because if you own a house and the council is trying to apply like a heritage overlay to it, and you're not into it, like you don't care for the house itself, and you see that that's going to devalue your whatever
Project.
your asset,
Yeah.
then you're not going to be on board with that. Similar in this situation, like obviously they bought this block with the intention of building whatever their future dream home, even though we don't like it, like that's what they wanted to do. So but yeah, like if councils can kind of get their act together and I guess protect what's in their suburbs, it kind of takes, I guess, that side of it out of,
To give the listeners an idea as well, in our day jobs, Dave and I both work in construction industry, in office-based positions. Jamie used to as well, but he's moved on now.
Yep.
But like, it's we know what it takes to get something from council. Like to get anything done by council.
Yeah.
You have to tell clients they move at the speed of a snail. They really do things in their own time, and it's. You can look at like if you want to do something to a house, particularly if you're going to like knock something down and then build a new house. Sometimes there's things that happen that cause you 12 to 18 month delays, and that's part and parcel with what you're doing, unfortunately. And it's that time that those people have taken advantage of. They know that the council's going to take like 6 months to get around to like doing it, and they're just jumping in. And you get this a lot as well. And this would be a bit removed from your process because you're like more in like the sort of planning and the building and stuff like that. But I'm in like that early process. And I find a lot of times I get clients that come through and I have to explain to them like how their engineering works and like why you need things. And a big thing in construction is if there's trees, that sucks for you because they cause nothing but problems.
Yep.
And clients know this and they'll come in and you've got their plans and you've had an arborist out there. So you know they've got trees.
Yeah.
They're physically drawn on the plans and you'll be like, oh, you've got trees here and here. And they're like, oh, no, we don't. And I was like, oh, you'd better because you are in a tree protection overlay area.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, those trees aren't there anymore. And I'm just like, oh, magically disappeared, did they? And it's the same kind of thing. It's like for their project, they have the audacity to rip down a tree that is protected by an overlay in their area that says to people, you specifically cannot do this.
Yeah.
And instead of applying for the exemption or applying for something, they just go ahead and take it out.
Yeah. I had a lady that called me up and asked me like how much it was per tree. And I was like, I looked it up and I was like, it's going to cost you about $1,300 a tree. And she's like,
yep.
All right. So she's like, I'll be up for about 13 grand. She's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll call you back in a week.
Yeah, and that's literally what they do. They're just like, is it worth it?
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, because, and like that 13 grand, I can tell you, like if she's getting rid of 10 trees, obviously, then I can tell you that she would be paying more if she was in a tree protection area to soft dig past those tree roots or, like put up some sort of tree protection measures or deepened edge beams or tree root barriers or, like a whole host of things that you need.
She just did the quick maths in her head and was like, I'm just going to make these disappear real quick.
So you can't say it's not a smart thing to do, but it's definitely
not the right thing
it's
to
definitely
do.
not the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess with Street Sleuth, where to from here?
I think I've kept it going long enough that I'll probably need to start planning what's next.
Right.
I think the phase that I'm in at the moment is I'm pretty happy with the format. I think it's mainly about the visuals.
Yep.
There's a lot of other pages out there that will go into depth with the history of dwellings and and all of these different bits and pieces. But I normally give just like a couple quick sentences on what I've been able to find, and it's primarily about like, what was it, what is it now? So I think what I'm doing at the moment is almost focusing on, well, the audience that I've got, what are they enjoying? What are they reacting to and responding to? So I was originally, I just had kind of 4 types of posts that I was working on. So I would have like your residential posts, which are typically when something gets demolished.
Yep.
Your commercial posts, which would be same thing, but maybe it's a it's a hotel or a pub or
Yeah.
a building in the city, something like that. What else did I have? Renovation posts, which are normally the good stories.
Yep.
And then nostalgia posts as well, which might be like this store, like ice cream store from your childhood has closed
Yeah.
down, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was releasing those, one after the other, kind of in that cycle, and I think through the analytics that I can pull out of Instagram or whatever, it's probably more, I'm getting. For the residential post, that's where most of the focus or like the attention is from my audience's perspective.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty even with nostalgia and renovation, and then commercials a little bit behind that. So I've kind of altered my post schedule to work in with that. So it's kind of more heavily geared towards the residential stuff at the minute. So, I think that's kind of the phase I'm at the moment, is just working through those analytics and kind of like adapting what I'm doing a little bit. But I think what I'm heading towards is I could see it working really well as like a YouTube Shorts kind of format.
Yeah.
I'm anxious about that, similar to what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
I've kind of released a couple of reels, and even with what I've done, like it adds like extra 2 hours or something to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, if it's a reel with like a voiceover and, and I think like that post we were talking about before, that would be like perfect for that format, because I could still work out of the Street View medium and just have like, what it was originally, what it was in the middle when it was painted terribly, and then what it looked like at the end when the building was demolished and replaced. So that's a little bit more dynamic, and I think that could work over like a 10-second.
It's got enough
short.
to it. Yeah.
Most of the posts, it's just a before and after. So I don't know. I'd probably have to fill it like out potentially with some real estate imagery or just some other element to it. So so I'm in two minds. I think it would work really well, but it would also be additional work, which I'm not sure if I'm up for.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to ask if you're up for footnotes, because in my experience with social media, I found that YouTube Shorts are a really level playing ground. The way that they distribute content out is a lot more honest than the way TikTok operates.
Yeah.
So if you were going to YouTube Shorts, you can find that you could actually get some really good traction and really good hits there.
Yeah.
So it's totally, I would say, worth your time to look into that. And you double up your content. So basically, whatever you're posting there, you're also posting on Reels, where you already have an audience. Yeah. So it's kind of like not that much extra time, but the Reels themselves are going to take you time. But there's a couple of ways you can do it. So there's a real estate guy that I follow. Very popular in Melbourne. His name's Purple Pingers. That's his username. And he basically just finds the shittest rental properties in Melbourne and he rates them. Yeah, you seen this guy?
I think I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
He's great. Fantastic. And he has that sort of like, he's very droll.
Yeah.
But because he's very droll, there's no expectation for him to be animated like I am. Like he's basically set that premise for his channel. So now that's what people expect. And that's what they consume from him. He shows really drastically bad rentals. And you are doing it effectively like your own thing in that regard.
Yeah.
But there's the other thing where the algorithm, if you're posting on TikTok, tends to favor in-app edited content.
Yeah, okay.
So the idea is that if you use their editors to create your content, then they will boost your content out to more people because you're using things that they want you to use.
Yeah.
So, what people do there is they use the voiceover lady. So you would just have, old Victorian home has, and that takes a bit of pressure off you to like be like, all right, do I want to be a personality behind this, or do I just want to post properties?
Yeah.
Because do you want to market? Because when you start putting yourself in there, it's not about the properties anymore.
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah.
And if you put your voice in there, it's like you're taking limelight, where otherwise you could just avoid that altogether by using the talk lady.
Yeah. I have actually looked at voiceovers for that reason.
Yep.
And I feel like it would, because again, very critical of my own work. I
Yep.
feel like I could easily get wrapped up in re-recording.
I'm
voiceovers
struggling
just,
to
like,
think of you
constantly
editing your own voice.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know how to get involved with that. So yeah, so that's where a voiceover would be good. Obviously, I'm aware of like the generic ones that you get,
Yeah.
which I hate to a degree. So that's
Yeah.
where I was kind of looking at other options that might be out there as well.
I mean,
yeah,
I've
good to
found
know,
some.
though.
There's ones with like celebrities and shit.
Yeah.
You could do a different celebrity each time. You know, I made a handful of them for our
Samuel L.
Twitch channel.
Jackson
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. And I did a bunch for our Twitch channel. I made like celebrity endorsements.
Yeah.
And then I had like different people and characters. Like I have Keanu Reeves, and he's just like, saying that our channel's the best and it's his favorite channel, shit like that, just for like a quick lol. But you could do stuff like that, and that could be like another thing. But that's the problem though, because like I feel like your content is so pure in its form that if you add other aspects to it, it's going to devalue what it's originally about, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So you do have to get something that is very generic.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna have to do it yourself and just let the let the missaid words go.
Yeah.
Let the phrasing.
You could do IRL street cam and just strap a GoPro to your head like that train loving guy.
I love that guy.
And literally just walk past houses that you're going to feature.
Dude.
He's one of those guys, you look at him and you're like, I wish I could see the world through his eyes and just have his like innocent joy about
Pure.
everything.
Yeah, so pure.
Yeah.
The sad dark side of that is he gets bullied quite a lot, which is also like, people are shit.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I agree, he's very fun. Yeah.
And if you become well liked anyway, you're gonna have like haters. I
mean, of course,
they're gonna be there anyway, and the haters are your biggest fans. Like someone's picking on you, it's more about them than it is about you.
Yeah,
at the end of the
true.
I
day.
had a hater, which I was pretty chuffed about.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and he actually said something interesting. So we went back and forth in a couple of comments, and I think by the end of it, he kind of had said like, because I think I was making the point about like older homes, like well designed, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas the home that had been demolished had been replaced by 3 dwellings, whatever, which is great for affordability and density and things like that. And then I think he made a comment about like, is good design or good aesthetics a privilege? And that was something that I thought about for like 3 days, and I couldn't really find an answer to. And I'd like to think that it isn't. Like, well-designed homes should be available for everybody. But I can kind of see where he's coming from in the sense of, if you're looking to live in one of these old Victorian homes, it's probably on like a 900 meter square block. It's going to cost you
a few million, probably.
Exactly, to purchase.
Let's be real, in the areas that they are.
Yes. So I don't know. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, it does seem like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where I like to. I say we went back and forth, but I wasn't going at him. It was very neutral, and I try and be as open-minded through this platform as I can as well, because I don't have all the answers. Like I've probably got no answers really as to like how to address, like urban sprawl and density and all of these issues, affordability, the housing crisis that we're going through, all of these different things. So, it's really just about like
how interesting is it though that you put yourself out there and you're just having a look at the history of an area, and all of a sudden, the public now see you as like this, messiah of, well, surely you can do something about the fact that these properties cost $2 million.
Yeah. And that's what I've thought about.
You can solve that, Dave, right? You got the pictures.
Yeah.
And as the platform's grown, I'm like, do I need to start like protesting or something? Or writing to councils or like, and I don't know, like maybe if it grows and I don't know, I can find more time for it and things like that's something that I'd like to be more knowledgeable about first, and then if there was something that I could do to, contribute or help solve some of these problems, that'd be cool.
Because your issue is that it's taking too long for council to locate these properties and allocate them with their heritage listing. Yeah. Would you go out of your way, having found one, to force that process through, or maybe help that process
like that's an interesting idea.
quickly?
Potentially, hey, like, and I don't know. It's interesting because I think I don't know. I got a little bit nerdy with it, and I wanted to say like, all right, what percentage of streets and suburbs am I looking at and focusing on? And I started to think that I could work through it quite systematically as well.
Yeah.
But there is a shitload of streets in Melbourne and suburbs, which I for some reason did not fathom. So
the sheer volume.
The sheer volume.
Yeah.
So maybe councils do need a bit of a chop out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they order heritage reports fairly frequently from what I can see. So yeah, it's
how much of that process is reliant on the public though, you know? Like like you order a heritage listing, like do you order that from the owners of the properties? You know, do they have to list it themselves? You know, things like that.
There's a ex musician. She's now a Apple Music host in America, and she lives in Nashville, and she has started like essentially a like community group for heritage listing. Because I could get this slightly wrong, but I think the crux of it is to that point, the council is too time poor to care.
Yeah.
So houses are getting demolished, to the point earlier, before they get the opportunity to be heritage listed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are finding this loophole and deliberately targeting these houses to then build their new Nashville mansions.
Right.
So she started like a bit of a community around that to be like, help us find them and get them heritage listed to save old Nashville, essentially, because it's not going to exist otherwise. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Save old Nashville. Because that's how she speaks.
Yes. And then she rode off on her horse and after spitting tobacco into a spittoon. So actually kind of similar to what you're doing in like would like to maybe eventually do, I should say. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely.
The heritage stuff especially.
Yeah. Like, but to look back to your Reels / YouTube Shorts content, I think it's definitely a good idea. I don't think you even need to use anything past a static image to do that either. You just have to find a way to post it in a vertical format, I guess, is what is the best way for you to post those in a vertical format? Does it pan across the front? You know, are you actually going to be able to physically go out to these properties and maybe like film a sweep yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Just to use for, and the length of the videos does not need to be long. You'll probably find that you get your most replayability out of like 5 to 15 second videos anyway.
Yeah.
Anywhere past a minute doesn't constitute a short. So if it goes longer than that, it won't even post to shorts. Whereas TikTok, they go 3 to 5 minutes, and that's considered still like a short, you know, in their regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the couple of reels that I have put out, who did I say? I think I can't remember but it was someone doing something similar, but maybe in Detroit, where they're going through a lot of like urban renewal, but then it's also going backwards in some parts of that as well. So it's like, 10 years ago, here's a home that someone lives in, well cared for, and then the deterioration over that period of time.
Yep.
And that was, from what I could see, they were just filming their laptop and adding captions to it and attracting quite an audience from that. So I don't know if it needs to be technically
it doesn't need to be super great. That's the thing, and that's a good point as well. Like, there's people that are really popular, and all they really do is film their TV, and you can tell they're just filming it off their phone, and they're filming their TV, and they're talking about it or something like that.
It's like I think people expect less from shorts because it is such a short format.
Yeah, agreed. And like, I think that's even with the TikToks and things like that, is because they're not expecting a studio production every time they scroll through TikTok. So
let me tell you about the two things I've found on TikTok recently. As a millennial with his finger on the Gen Z pulse.
Go on.
Two things that are happening, and if this isn't in your algorithm, it's because you're just not there with Gen Z, man. All right, so the first one is the grimace thing. You guys seen that?
No.
There you go. See? Straight up. So there's a thing going right now, Grimace's birthday shake. So you can get it at McDonald's. It's only in America, unfortunately. But they're like, oh, hey, man. We just got the new Grimace shake here. Happy birthday, Grimace. Just going to try this one out. And then they like drink it. And then it smash cuts to them being dead in some way. And the drink is like spilled out or on them, or they're throwing it up, or some like there's dudes who are just like straight up like face down in like the reeds of a creek, like like they're really putting the effort in, like and that's like a thing that's happening right now, and someone must have done it, and now everyone does it, and this is like the thing with Gen Z is you can't predict them the way that you can on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram, you can target things. But on TikTok, you don't know what the next thing is going to be because it's something as simple as that. Someone thought it was funny to film themselves doing like a fake review of the Grimace Shake and then they were dead. And now everyone's doing it.
It just shows you how like malleable the human mind is.
Yeah.
Like it was someone I always reference, Tom Segura did two instances of that where he made out that Garth Brooks was a murderer.
Yeah.
And then people started showing up to his show with signs saying, "Show us where the bodies are, Garth."
Oh,
and then he did another one where he asked people or convinced people that they should say "love you" as they went through a drive-through after they collected their items.
Yeah.
So like, here's your Big Mac milk, and
Yeah.
like "love you," and then drive off.
Yeah.
And people just started doing that as like a little bit of a trending thing. And it's just like
Kind of wholesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
nice.
that's good. I can live with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
the Garth
not
Brooks
hurting
thing,
anyone.
the Garth Brooks thing was
Garth
actually
Brooks thing's a
fucking
bit
hilarious.
rough. Yeah.
They just said he looked like a bit of a serial killer in some of his clips with the way they're shot and everything. He has just a look in his eyes.
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know, people that know Garth Brooks, apparently he's like the nicest person on earth. So it's the complete opposite. But they're like,
And
what's
he's
he
pretty
hiding?
big, so
Very.
you're buying tickets to his show to heckle him.
Yeah. To hold up a sign, where are the bodies? Yeah.
Where are the bodies, Garth?
All right, so the other thing on TikTok now that I'm getting in my algo is I get, for starters, I get a lot of food stuff because I watch a lot of food stuff. And one of the things I get inherently from being a food stuff in that sort of food talk side of things is influencers that go to different places and they review it. And there's like so many Melbourne ones. It's always like, oh my God, guys, I went to this new Japanese place and the dumplings, and they were 10 out of 10 and the meat was just so good. And then my friend got this thing, and that's how they talk, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm getting a really meta version of that because I'm not getting the people that do that anymore. I'm getting the people that fact check those people. So now I'm getting this couple of people. I can't remember the users off the top of my head because it's only started happening recently. But effectively, they're going to these places that others influencers are going to and saying it's the best thing in the world. And they've got that music in the back. Ba-link, da-ding-ding, ba-link, da-ding-ding. It's every single one. and it's just some dude with his fucking phone, and he gets the food from the place and he eats it and he tells you if it's good or not. So it's like this next step in the meta, in the meta influencer like ecosystem, where now these people are going to start taking over the original ones that are like getting paid for it. So these people are getting paid to review it. And then this guy now, every time they do something, now he can do his thing.
Yeah.
And people are going to see that, want to see what this guy says. So it's creating like this like further reaching ecosystem of food reviewing TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very bizarre. Like very meta, just like, there's another guy I follow actually. It's the same thing, but for cooking videos. So there's this guy. His name is Future Canoe. I do remember this guy. He's a self-proclaimed NPC, faceless, doesn't show his face, very droll, and he considers himself an average person. He's an NPC.
Yeah.
So what he does is he'll take a YouTube recipe or a TikTok recipe, and he'll make it at home. And he tells you whether or not it's hard, whether or not it's feasible for the average person to do, and whether or not the average person would have those ingredients on hand. So sometimes it'll be like, put this in, and he's like, I don't have that, so I'm going to put this in. And he just does it.
Yeah.
And it's so realistic that it makes it like you want to see what the end product is, because this is just a regular ass guy doing this thing. And it's so honest, like, because sometimes it sucks. Like, he'll make this thing, it looks like slop, or it looks like it doesn't hold together. And he's just like, maybe if I had this, it would have been better, but I give this like a 3 out of 10, like, and that's like its own thing again, because effectively, so, that fucking Weissman guy, he'll release a YouTube video.
Yeah.
It's a very popular guy, but if we're being honest, you watch his videos, he's got a bunch of shit in it that you don't have at home.
Yeah.
You'd have to purposely shop to get like 3 of the ingredients for the roughly dozen things you need to make the thing that he's making. So, you know, he releases a video, then Future Canoe will release a video, and it'll be him making that thing. And it's just like, oh, okay, like Josh Weissman, he's like really good at that. But I'm a normal person. So when I watch him do it, I'm like, okay, maybe I could do it then, you know? So I think
that's funny.
It's interesting that, like, you know, I feel this just carries on from TV, because television was scripted, and then we had reality shows, and then reality shows became scripted. And what happened when reality shows became scripted? That's when live streaming became popular. So you get people make their own channels on YouTube and their own channels on Twitch for people to absorb content. But now those people are scripted as well. So they're scripting. So now it's like these meta levels of like, and effectively it's just society looking for real people to watch.
Yeah.
And we keep getting further away from it. And then we have to step another level deep to find real people again.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
And then he's going to get too big. And
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And then the cycle continues. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Like, it's going to get to a point where someone will just have to have a camera on them for 24/7, so we know that they're not doing anything to script what they're doing. We need proof. We need proof now.
Fucking hell, man. The world is whack.
Yeah. Social media is a beast, man. Honestly, I wish I could crack it. With a dude with my personality and just general outgoing outlook, and like I'm a regularly conversationally funny guy. I say conversationally funny because like I don't think I could do stand up, but I definitely think I'm like funny in the moment.
Yeah.
And like even I don't think I have like what it takes to just put the face cam on and make magic happen and become famous on social media. And there's other ways to do it. And I think the way that you're doing it is definitely one of them. It's engaging content. And
I think, like you, I don't know, and we've always said this through all of our thoughts about business ventures and what we're
Various
doing.
things.
It's always like you need some niche, like some point of difference
to
everyone else.
Yeah.
I think like what I'm doing, you know, there's so many different Street View Instagrams and things out there.
Yep.
I guess the niche for me is it's very Melbourne based at the moment, and I don't think there's other ones. There's certainly other pages and things in Melbourne that will go around and take photos of homes, or maybe compare things to really old historical imagery, but not in the past decade like what I'm doing from what I can see. So
so that's your niche, and that's it. Yeah, you don't need to go too niche. It just needs to be a niche.
Yeah, I think so. Little
actually,
point of difference.
Through this though, if you get enough of an audience, you know, and let's say, we fast forward 12 months from now, and maybe Street Sleuth's doing really, really well. Like you're churning numbers, you've got tens, thousands of followers, things like that. At that point, like, could you then circle back to the merchandise? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think, I hate it because it's such a cliche, but literally like uni, we're talking, how old am I? 33. So, a good 13 years ago, which felt like when it feels like everyone has a brand or like a clothing brand and thing at the moment. So it's been a long thought of mine that I'd love to have my own
dude, I remember since way back
stuff.
then. Yeah.
So even through this, and I've shown Jamie kind of one of my designs and things, I could see avenues like that.
Yeah.
That, I could use the platform to
say, hey, by the way, I got some merch.
Exactly. If people are into it, and then that will help pay for whatever, because I think opening a website at some point, I've had some thoughts around that as well. And I could even use the website to probably have the same content but maybe in a longer format with more information for people to read through beyond what I'm doing on the posts. So
that's cool. I like that.
So I think definitely down the road. But it's all time. Hey, like we all work kind of during the day, and we've all got lives outside of work as well. So trying to find the time. Every time, you think of an idea like this, there's so much energy and effort that goes into it, and ongoing kind of attention that you need to put into it.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing. Hey, it's the ongoing attention. Like you think you're at like a plateau point, and you're like, yeah, cool. All right, we're good. And then you're like, oh, no, wait, I can't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even like, to be honest, like talking to Liam about this podcast and stuff. The podcast is going great. Really happy with that. But it's
Yeah.
even like the promotional side. I'm like, Liam, can we please catch up, because I need you to help me
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
this out and schedule it so I can get it to some form of sustainable promotion wise. And it's like, that's, you forget that. Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're recording the episodes. They sound great. It's like, oh, we need to promote them.
Yeah.
Oops.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Like,
and the
you know.
thing is, like, I've taken my hands completely off social
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
I create the social media stuff and I give it to Jamie.
Yeah.
And he's the one who's meant to be in charge of posting it and just generally promoting the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of pressure on Jamie to make this project work.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm really here to do is give him the tools that he needs to be able to build the craft, So that's what I'm trying
Which
to
I'm happy to do. I just need to
Yeah.
work out a way to fit it in, as you said, into life.
Yeah.
Which I will. And, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the fun part. Question for you, and then we might wrap up. With is there copyright situations around images? I'm actually thinking for the merch side of it.
Yeah,
If you were to
yeah.
use, let's say, like you posted a Blockbuster that no longer exists, if you were to take that Blockbuster store, line sketch it onto a T-shirt,
Yeah.
is that okay?
Theoretically, you should be able to just print a photo of anything because if it's in a public place and it's viewably accessible.
But even if it's a picture of public property?
yeah,
I think that's fine.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to say if I was like ripping the photo off Street
Google.
View, which
yeah.
is
Does Google have an
admittedly
issue
what I'm
with that?
doing. But yeah.
I don't
If
think
was
you'd
to
have
put
any
that on a
issues with that,
t-shirt,
though, anyway.
I feel like that would be a problem.
Oh, because the Street View image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I guess if I like sketched an image off that and it became something that was quite
Yeah.
artistic and detached from the original
Yeah.
whatever product potentially.
Yeah. I'm just thinking
I
of
don't
like
know.
that line art
These are
kind of
all
work, like a Blockbuster, like that kind of ilk of like
Yeah.
milk bars and Blockbusters and
Dude, you should
Could be
see
cool.
my Instagram ads. It's just ad after ad after ad of different clothing company after different clothing company printing anime stuff. with
Yeah, I know.
artwork that is definitely not theirs.
Yeah.
Like if they're not having problems, then
Yeah.
you will not have
or
problems.
they have problems, but they don't care.
Yeah,
That's the flip
yeah,
of it, right?
they'll be like, take this down. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
next one.
Yeah.
Next,
And
yeah.
that's it, right?
And that's
Like,
it. Yeah. So I think like I'd love a Street Sleuth shirt. I'd wear one.
Yeah.
But I am generally supportive of a lot of what I just love seeing people do well. I guess
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like I love when people set up a business and it does well. I love when people set out to do a project and it does well. I like.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I can't tell if I really like what you're doing or if I just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like I'm too, I
Have a
like
friend
you
bias.
too much
Yeah.
to like, to really, but if I'm from the outside looking in and I'm trying to remain completely impartial, I think it's a really cool page.
Yeah.
I base it off the fact that I like telling other people about your page.
Oh,
Right.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Like,
that.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if I, like, to Liam's point, if I was
Yeah.
just doing it because I'm a supportive friend,
Yeah.
then that would be where I'd draw the line.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to tell. But, I go to people like, oh, my friend does this and it's really fucking cool. You should check it out. Like, I'm happy to spruik it,
Yeah.
which in my mind goes, oh, I actually genuinely really like what's being done.
Have
which I do.
you sent an address to Dave?
No, I
Street
haven't
Sleuth yet?
actually.
I take recommendations.
I've done that.
Oh,
And I went
well.
out
And
there.
he posted it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was a fucking pissing competition, mate. Have you seen where I live? Where are the fucking houses getting knocked down out here? Tell
It's
me.
just paddocks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
There
That'd
might
be a real.
something in Beaky that's
Yeah. True. Beaky.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good point. I should actually. You know what? Where my parents live, Scoresby.
Oh, yeah, Scoresby.
I'll do that.
Yeah, Scoresby's a good one actually. Yeah, because there'd be a lot of stuff going on there.
There is fucking a
Yeah.
house knocked down every other day in
Yeah.
Scoresby at the moment. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do it on your family house before it was extended.
Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
your
it was
family
hideous
house, yeah.
before, and it's hideous even after.
Yeah, it's hideous but bigger.
Yeah.
That could be another like post type for me potentially. Is
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
this got worse.
Yeah.
Like someone put energy into this and
And
it
it-
got worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it wasn't really, there wasn't a lot going on with it to
Yeah.
start with, but
Yep.
now it's actually, I've got a perfect one of that. So it's like it'll be like a 50s or 60s standard brick home
Yep.
that was demolished and someone had built a 2-story like faux Victorian terrace thing.
Oh no.
So
yeah.
it like, I don't know how to feel about it. Like
Yep.
I'm definitely not on board, but
I love that.
good on them for, I don't know, like sticking to the original kind of designs. And
Yeah,
things.
they were trying.
Yeah.
They gave it a crack, you know.
But back on the merchandise thing, I think for me, like if it was something that I was selling to someone, like a T-shirt or whatever it was, I would put a lot more energy into it than what I'm doing with the posts at the moment. You know, because I think what I'm putting out there at the moment, there's probably a question mark over like from Google Street View's perspective, how like copyright and whatever. But I think, if it's an actual product, I think, and I've already kind of looked into options there, like it'll be something that I designed that like is a unique kind of thing. Not something that's kind of ripped off.
I don't think you would have an issue.
Platform.
I don't think you'd have an issue printing things that are pulled from Google Street View. At least not for a very, very long time. You would need to be an abnormally large-sized social media presence for that to actually become a problem. And in the meantime, you could definitely make decent profit off that. But when the cease and desist comes, that's when you stop, you know. And by that stage, you probably won't need that type of thing anymore.
It is interesting because I can't remember the page name because I'm terrible at those things, but there's definitely like more prominent pages, like hundreds of thousands of followers that would do exactly the same thing that I'm doing, but more so in, I can't remember the name of it, but there's this one page where I think the owners, what's the thing where you don't like going outside?
Agoraphobic?
Yeah. And so they use Street View to like travel in a sense, and they've like created a book of their favorite like destinations and things like that. And I'm assuming that includes imagery directly from Street View.
It would have to. If they have agoraphobia, then they're
not
going themselves.
So
unless they have a very good drone.
So they may have like had a conversation with Google about that. I'm not sure. Maybe Google doesn't care because it's promoting their platform anyway. And it's
exactly.
Not in a medium that's competing with what they're doing. So who knows?
That could be fun. A coffee table book for Street Sleuth.
Maybe.
Ooh, a coffee table book.
We've done print before, Dave, if you recall our earlier conversation.
If I was thinking merch for Street Sleuth, I was going to say like sunglasses would be funny. Like in the colors that your imagery is in. Like
I like the colors.
Hats, because like then you can become the sleuth yourself.
So trench coats?
Yeah, trench coat. Because the idea is like you would want to, at some point, or I would imagine you would want most of your content to be user generated.
Yeah.
So people actually telling you, instead of you trawling the streets, you would want people like messaging you on Instagram being like, hey, this address, when I was a kid, it was this, and now it's this, and then you can like, oh, sweet, and you've got an address, so now you can quickly go there. Like I know you've actually physically went to the one that I sent you, but like even if you weren't able to, you could very easily find that with an address, you know. And if people are out there and they see it, and myself and Christy, we find that even when we go around somewhere, I'll be like, I'll see something new that's built. I was like, "Ooh, should send that to Dave." You know?
No, absolutely. And that I'm like, there's already people that have contacted me with like, and even like some of them go nowhere. Like, someone asked me to look up this run of townhouses. I couldn't find early enough Street View footage, but I was able to use Google Earth to go back 15, 20 years and look at the satellite imagery. And it turned out that it was just a like transport corridor. Like eventually it was just a part of the rail, like the, you know, at the side of like a train track where it's just grassland or something. It was just something like that they must have sold off and built townhouses on. Even that process, even though it wasn't post-worthy, I guess, like it was still interesting to go through that. I think it was out of Newport, which again isn't an area that I'm super familiar with.
True.
It's all entertaining. For me, at least.
That's awesome.
Cool.
You can wrap it up, Jamie. I know you're trying to.
I mean, I could. No, we can always talk forever. But we should wrap it up. But thank you.
No,
that was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And I think as well, we already have a following, right? Like Miscellaneous and through extension Miscy Business, we already have like a general following of people that listen to us. And in some cases, there's been like bits and pieces, but we've never really sat down and told them what our process was to get to where we are now. And you are actually heavily involved. You know? You've been there for like 2/3 of like our entire growth and development. So, you know, it's just, it's good for people to know who you are finally, because you are very mild mannered, and you do get effectively shunted into that backseat position where you're doing design work because that's where your strength is. And like the people who have listened to things that you've been involved with and watched things that you've been involved with, and they never really knew. It's just good for them to know that, you know, you're out there
1000%.
and you're doing something yourself. You know, shout out to anyone who listened tonight. Please go and follow Street Sleuth. You'll see me in the comments. And and otherwise, thank you so much for coming in.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Easy. Peace.
All right, bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you liked it, please get at us on the socials. And if you didn't, drop a review on iTunes. No, just give us a 5-star review. You can shit can us, but make sure there's 5 stars. Spotify, and follow us on any of the socials. Love you guys. Bye.
Fuck the slow-mo. Snakes, he's playing.